Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Mental Corner podcast, the show where I bring on guests from all different backgrounds to talk all the things mental health. I'm your host, Harry Potvin, and today I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Erfan Nouraee. Erfan is an entrepreneur, an inventor, a speaker, and a mental health advocate. He recently received a bronze medal for his Photon Detector System at the 2021 International Invention and Innovation Competition. Erfan was a blast to have on, and I really want to thank him again for coming on and having this discussion with me. And of course, for this episode, my fancy camera did not work. Of course it did. So it's just the Zoom call. I apologize for the quality. We will get better. And this episode is coming out a little later than it was supposed to because I got sick last week, and honestly, it kicked my butt again. It just threw me off completely. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things, not just with the podcast, but with my mental health, getting back, with my physical health in the gym at Muay Thai. It's been a weird kind of, I'm not sure. It just kind of threw me off. So slowly but surely we're getting there. And yeah, this episode's coming out a little later than usual, but hey man, that's life. You're going to get a little bumps in the road. You just got to keep pushing. Now, before we get into the episode today, guys, you know the drill. If you're listening, please like, comment, share, subscribe, give 5 stars if you're on that podcast platform. Share with someone who might want to hear this episode. It's a really great one, and I can't wait for you to listen. I'll talk to y'all very soon. Have a great rest of your day. Peace. We are good to go. Erfan, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Harry. It is such a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a pleasure to have you on. So my first question for you, it's like the broadest question ever, but why is like student mental health, why is mental health in general, why is that such a priority for you? Like, where does your journey with advocacy work start?
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit about my childhood. So I was born and raised in Iran, and then we immigrated to Canada to study in Canada. And so back in Iran, which is my home country, there are a lot of you know um, ignorance in terms of advocating for something really important like mental health, and which really matters. And for example, in high school we've had and now we have an entrance exam for university, which we call it concours. It is a standard exam that students have to take to get into the universities, to get the admission, which is so hard. And uh, and it has pressured students a lot. It is so stressful, and it doesn't really make sense to get into a competition with thousands of people getting want to get into the universities, which led to suicide. Many suicide cases happened in Iran. So that was moving for me. So I tried to think about it. So I had friends of mine, we also have heard about reports in the media and many other places, like the suicide cases. And there isn't anything called mental health in back in my home country. And I just want to get too political, but that is because of sometimes because of the government. In That is not because the people of my country. That is sometimes because of how the country is governed in that way, and the policy implications that they may take. So that there wasn't anything about Minister of Mental Health, which we have now in Canada. So if you there is no education in terms of mental health. So that was moving for me. I tried to that was a cause to ignite me to get into advocacy for youth mental health. And world is in crisis. We have to take action to do something for people. And I think the number one priority has been mental health in the world. So if we work on the mental health, we can really solve many problems in the world.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, how old were you when you started realizing that there wasn't really anything on mental health in your community?
Yeah, I was just like in I think in middle school. Yeah, so there, like when you get this stress, there's not any resource or any like in Canada. There are a lot of websites. There are resources. There is a Minister of Mental Health in both provincial and federal and now federal governments. But in my like in we didn't have them. So even there wasn't any awareness in terms of like there is something called mental health, like physical health, so people can take care of it. But unfortunately, that it wasn't there. So I decided to get into to be an advocate for young people, to really like help them, like talk with them, and to make sure that uh, I make I have helped my social network through this, because the social network, from what I experienced, is really important. Like the parents, those in like I call it like in physics, those who are in your first orbit. So those are really important people that have a pivotal role in helping their social networks mental health. So that is really important.
Right, absolutely, man. When you first started raising awareness and trying to, reach all of these people, what was the reception like at first? Because there was no talk about it. Like, was the reception mostly like people were standoffish, so like I don't want to talk about this, or were people generally accepting?
Actually, so there isn't any normalizing thing around mental health discussion. So so there is not there hasn't been any awareness around surrounding mental health. So you don't know even mental health like exists there. Like, so there should be something like explanation or any kind of definitions happening in books, in educational system, or any parts of the country. So there wasn't anything. So like you people like most many people don't know what mental health is actually, so and
Mm,
how to take care of it. So so that is happening. And in my opinion, I I I know that it's like sometimes the policy body fault, and they have to you know spread the word. They have to provide these things for people, for young people. So absolutely, these are important. But so that was moving for me. I got the reason that we have, even in Canada, it is not perfect. So it is not a mental health utopia. So here we also have a lot of crises to get to get the resources, but it's better. It's getting better. It's getting better, fortunately.
right, absolutely, man. I mean, yeah, it's skyrocketed into like the top priority list just because people are realizing like it's not this little fantasy thing that everyone thought it was. Now, for you, when like in your own personal journey with mental health, knowing that there was limited resources, because for me, when I was really trying to figure myself out, there wasn't anything. There were no resources, and if there were, they were not easily accessible, and that kind of made me feel really down on myself and kind of angry at myself for even being in this situation. So, in your own personal journey with mental health, how did you navigate through these limited resources? Sorry.
Yeah, the problem was actually there wasn't anything called mental health. So there wasn't any definition for it. So there should be some kind of advocacy for it to pop in many websites, many in social media, and many platforms. So uh, and you can see uh, many young, and you can see the rate of the suicide rate sometimes are higher in the countries that there's not enough awareness. And I just read an article in one of the journals that when we don't have any awareness happening, so there is so much risk in in the commitment of the suicide. So I think it is really important to first to make people aware, and then people can take actions. But there isn't any awareness, so that was the problem. And unless the limited resources didn't happen, there was no fairly no awareness. So
Mhm.
that was the situation. I still hear some bad news from uh, suicide commitment in universities in Iran because of the pressure that exists for getting into the universities. And and family also are increasing that pressure because they know that that university entrance exam is life changing for. But here in Canada we don't have anything called university entrance exam. You can apply with your GPA, or but in Iran we had it, and it really had a super detrimental effect on mental health and students' mental health. I also did advocacy for that. But there, so you can't fight with some government because some are corrupt.
So they in Iran they have an exam before you get into university?
Yeah, it's a very, very tough exam. They call it concours, which is an exam with hundreds of tests, and like took 3 hours or 4 hours, and students have to study 3 years for that. and
Oh, wow.
and if they and mostly they can't pass it because just like from thousands of people, just 100 or 200 can get into the best universities, even to the lower, uh, to highly accredited universities. So that was actually what is the problem of but there are many economic factors into this. So there are many business factors for government, for some companies selling books. So sometimes people can't get into these kind of things, because of some policy implications that is happening. But it really matters to one day remove these because I can see a lot of my friends have now, like after years, they have problems because of the exam has affected them in the way that they also they were stressed, uh, and for example they got the worst rank to get to the university, like 6,000. So and so so they feel that, yeah, this is embarrassing, like, yeah, this guy's rank is 50, my rank is uh, you know um 6,000. So that pressure, that stress, um you know is really detrimental, and now we can see that, and it really affects for the future of these young people.
So the people that you know from Iran, like the people who have done the exam, they're still feeling residual stress from that situation. Like how are they working on it? Like how do you even recover from that?
Oh yeah. So like, so I just have an example. I personally didn't take the exam, and my parents told me, yeah, you have, what you would what would want to do for uh for, for this exam. So if you don't take it, you can get to the university. So I told them these will have a lot of detrimental impacts on my mind, and as a person, uh, that I'm advocating for this, I won't take take the exam, and I will continue to help others to not take this exam, to help them tackle the problem of the detrimental mental health impacts that the exam have on mental health. So I asked a lot of my friends to do not take the exam, and because of the parents didn't let them do that, but I decided, and I did, and for the university, I applied for Canada. We are responsible, really. We are the CEOs of our mental health and of our health. So we are, if we if we really say this, we are really responsible to take care of it, and fully take care of it, and to read the research, to make our to make aware of this. So, like, tell your emotions, or get in touch with your social network, and to always help people and support people who are near you and need your help. But that maybe they aren't aware of this, or you have to help them, tell them about it, or make them aware, so yeah, they can go and read about us, that there is mental, like, physical health. We have mental health. This happened a lot for me, and I've just had a couple of friends that they went through a lot of problems. So I talked with them. Yeah, yeah, I know life can be really hard, but you've got this. You've really got this, and it's okay, really, to not to be okay. You can get better. It is something that you can get better, and everything is going to be okay if you uh, express your feelings, if you um, if you meditate, and and just really, you are the one that is responsible, and you have to get in touch with people to ask help. So you are responsible, like your physical health. So when your finger caught, so you're going to buy something to cover it. So, and that is exactly, but you can't see it. It is happening in the mind. So you absolutely can see it, but you can, but when you're aware of it, you can take care of it, and you have to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, how can people listening who may be like from Iran and are trying to become the CEO of their mental health but don't really know where to start? What is your advice? Like, where should they even begin that process?
Yeah, so searching really helps. Like, Google it, like, to r- writing mental health in Persian, so writing mental health, uh, and I read about it, and like, w- watching podcasts like Mental Health Corners or other podcasts. So uh, any videos, any resources. So they all help. Talking with people, with with accredited people, and regarding this. So, because some people, there are some people actually giving you false, you know advice, and
Hmm.
telling you, do that, do this, but it is really false, and not only it doesn't help you, it makes you worse. And there should be, um uh, so internet can help here. Internet is important here, and can play, and plays a really important role in making people aware of mental
Hmm.
health.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of that, man. I wanted to go back really quickly to the whole exam thing because it's boggling to me that that actually happens. But in your opinion, like, to get away from that, because obviously there's a bunch of other external stressors that contribute to mental health challenges, like in youth in general. But in terms of that specific one, the entrance exam for universities in Iran, what would your solution be? Like, what's the alternative?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a really big problem, and so nobody can solve, because this is a government thing. So it is political, and it is under how the government, how the country is governed. So um, there are many factors into this, and much of them is are and political. People can just advocate and ask for it, like, remove this exam. It should be removed. And um, but it takes time
Mm.
to do this. For example, one example I didn't share in other media platforms, but I will share it here,
Mhm.
is back in back in Iran. So, for example, this is an example. In schools, some schools will take your phone for a year, and just imagine, take your phone for a year and
Mhm.
tell you to go
To go what?
because of the
Sorry?
exam,
To
to go
go
bald, cut
Oh,
your hair, bald.
yeah.
So I mean, like, to fully cut your hair,
Mhm.
and take your. I know this is really, it is really, I know it is really something not to expect, but because of the stressful situation that the exam had, uh, schools forced the students to take their phones. Like, they will literally, they will take your phone and put it into the safe box, and after 2 years or 1 year, they will give it back to you. So they just want to make sure that you're not using your phone and you're studying. So this is something really happened. But uh, again, I avoid, like, giving my phone, or I tell them, no, no, I won't do this. You shouldn't
Mhm.
force people to do something like this. This is really huge in terms of really. And one other example was to cut their hair, students' hair, because to avoid any relationships. And these were happening, and are happening right now, just because of an exam. And just imagine how detrimental effect these these decisions can have on young people's mental health. To telling them cut your hair, to telling them take give your phone, just because to pass this exam. And which many of them, because of the mental health, their the problems they have, the troubles they have, they can't even pass it until the exam's date. So just imagine how hard and sometimes can be. But I personally, I didn't do all of this, and but I see from like the surrounding. So I avoid doing this, but some students couldn't do that, unfortunately, because of parents uh, gave that permission to the schools. Or sometimes um there are so much things going on in you know even in Canada, we have a lot of troubles in mental health. In I've heard from some universities in Toronto, some cases of suicide because of like studying things,
Mhm.
grade things. So or many other factors. So just hope, like, there can be some resources or anything to help these young people take care of it, and to make it better. We can't be perfect, but we can get better. That is really important. Every Everyone thinks that they have to be perfect, and they have to be happy all the times. So this is the problem I really heard from many young people around me. They come to me and like tell me, yeah, I want to be happy. Yeah, this is my mental health. I'm so happy. That is wrong.
Mm.
You have to have all the spectrum of all emotions. So that is what mental health means. You have to be angry. You have to feel happy. They all are fine. And what important what what is something is important here is to just be as aware as you can. This is really important.
Yeah, definitely. Man, so going back a little bit because there was a lot of info there. What is the w- this is just a question for me. Like, how is shaving your head effective for an exam? How does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. So this was a case back in, so we back in the time, uh so cutting the hair for for students' hair because of because of the exam to get into the university, to avoid like I just heard, I can't like quote like, yeah, this exactly was the reason, but I know that I see like personally see that, but uh even in inside the schools, like they will shave the hair and tell you that there's not any reason, just to
What?
study, like focus on the study. Yeah, the exam, it was it even you ask any person, so they will tell you that this exam is life changing, and so it can turn lives around. Like many parents are investing in like giving out you know a lot of money, investing a lot of money in schools, and to just hope that their you know children can get this. Even some of them think about the exam from the elementary schools. Just suppose from the elementary schools they will think about it. So
Man,
the whole spectrum of the it's a big problem, and 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 it has a really bad effect.
I think what breaks my heart, and it's not just for the people, the students in Iran, but also the students in Canada and pretty much everywhere in the world, is that I mean, I was a student too, so I kind of did this, but like you base your value on an exam, on a grade, on a test. You basically what my grade was is basically what I defined my life to be. So if I got a C, I was like, well, then I'm just a C person. Like that's it. My life is just a C, and I'm going to be like that forever. And it breaks my heart because people lose their own value and they kind of view themselves in such a low light. And it leads to these mental health challenges, these suicides and everything for what? For a little mark. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, there are there are a lot of things that that this is not just about an exam. It is about the educational system. It is
Mhm.
important to work on the curriculum that has included mental health part of it. So which we didn't have, unfortunately. And but here in Canada, I can see like young people have it. So that is cool. That is great. And I hope people, community members, continue to advocate for this, to
Yeah.
advocate change for mental health. A really world is in crisis, and if we don't take care of take care of mental health, we uh, there can be a lot of troubles in the daily functioning, and sometimes just three points. Like one is to express your feeling. Two is to get in touch with your social network. And three is to ask help when you need it. And so, I mean, last year we hosted a youth mental health summit featuring incredible speakers like Minister Philomena Cassie, like Richmond Hill MP, and many of the politicians. They shared the stories from constituency or uh, government that they have, and really that was great to hear from these people, and young people like listen to them, and to know what their leaders are saying.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I wanted to kind of go on the topic of the pandemic because are you for correct me if I'm wrong, are you still in university?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we went into the pandemic, obviously everything went online and there was just a bunch of stress everywhere. And when you're a student, university alone is stressful enough without any of this stuff. But then you add the pandemic, then you add going virtual for the whole thing, then all this and that, losing jobs, everything. So for you personally, like what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. So I just also had an interview with Canadian press about this. Like what? Like many of students are struggling due to the pandemic, wearing on. So personally, for me, it was the part of my invention and startup. So I couldn't really find materials. So many universities have been closed. There was also mental health part of it, but I did all I could to take care of my mental health during this. I can't say yeah I did it. I fully mission accomplished, or there was something that I was really super successful in that. But because of the pandemic, we couldn't control the situation. There is a lot of things going on. It is okay, but here, as I said, we are really the CEO of our mental health. And even during the pandemic, even it is unprecedented, we have the role to take care of it. We are responsible. There is no excuse for it. And I always tell this, that yeah, there is no excuse to take care of mental health. And you always have to seek help if you think you're in trouble, and you have to talk about and express your feelings, and get in touch, as I said, with your social network and friends. And this is really important. So, and during the pandemic, I saw many of my friends. So I have a lot of international friends here. They are some of them don't have their parents here with them, and this is a trouble, really. There should be, and how hard it can be that when uh, the person is going to be alone, and that there should be a lot of pressure from university, from work, from so I think that social network is really important. Even yeah, social network, and getting out for doing meditating exercises is really important. For example, during the pandemic, I was at the office working on my startup, but the university was closed. So what I did was I asked myself, you are responsible, and this is really matters. And sometimes I didn't have the time to get. I was in office. I didn't have to take had the time to go out, but uh, but but I had to do that for myself here.
Mm,
For people have to do that for themselves. This is important.
mhm. Yeah, man. It's everywhere. Mental health's everywhere, and you need to
Yeah,
find you
exactly. You just have to. Yeah, exactly. You just have to, like. We need to find it, and to just think about it, or research it. Even to read journals. I sometimes read great journals from researchers around the world on mental health, under research, that what they did, and what I found, like on experiencing group of people, and like watching, reading news is important. Like in the news feed that you are reading, it really matters if you don't read those harmful news, or some kind of and I just read this in one of the journals, and they have detrimental impacts on mind. So, like, another advice is to not read bad news from the news agencies. So to or if you read, just you have to just cope with that, because sometimes for some people can take a lot of time to process the news, and it really matters. Like even during this war, there are a lot of you know, it makes me feel sad, and and I know some people like even reading the news and can't, so they feel it. So you feel it. It can harm, and there should be something to avoid the situation of avoiding this harm to the mental health.
Yeah, it's a strange line, right? Because you want to be involved and you want to be educated and you want to stay up to date, but at the same time, like right now, I mean, I've felt it too. You have the pandemic, you have the war. It seems like it's one thing after another, and we've never had a time in history where we can see a war happening on our phone
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we're like on the other side of the planet. I think the hardest part for me personally, and I don't like complaining because obviously I'm not in the war in any way, but is feeling that I can't even help kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I can donate money, but other than that, I'm just on the other side of the planet watching it happen from my phone. It's like this helplessness kind of feeling as it's all unfolding. So my last question for you, man. Um, if you were in a room with anyone who may have experienced, mental health challenges and doesn't know where to turn to, or is feeling shameful for feeling that way, or the weight of the world and the weight of all this information is just a little too much for them to carry, or even if we're going back to the whole exam thing in Iran and it's weighing on them, the stress is weighing on them, what would be one thing that you would want to tell them if you were in a room with them?
Yeah, just the one thing would I would tell them that 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 if you don't take care of your mental health, you can't do the task, your daily tasks, and you will get into troubles. And it's really important when you feel you need support to seek help. This is all I think it is about. Just I mean, like personally, you have to go to ask for help, and there are great resources. So I recommend to them to go to like Unsinkable Youth is a wonderful resource. Jack.org is a wonderful resource. So there should be an effort to make. So you have to move to save yourself, to help yourself. That is important. And 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 if you don't do it, mm, you will get into trouble. Or I don't want to say this, but yeah, it can be a sinking situation.
Hmm, yeah.
Sinking. I can say when I say this, I really mean it. Like it can be a sinking situation for people, and it gets mm, really worse. And there should be some um, even to find some people to get in touch, to go out with friends, to meditate. There are a lot of things you can do, but it has levels, I think. Like sometimes you feel good, but there are many factors in this. But my only recommendation is first to these are the three top recommendations I have for any young people or adults. Is first is to express your feelings. Like tell yourself, am I just am I stressed, or am I like angry? Am I happy? And then think about it. And second, uh, to set small goals, like, and celebrate them with your family or friends or any of your social network is really important. Those goals can be anything. It can be just a small goal, and then celebrate it with your family. So when you achieve that goal, it encourages you to continue. And so it is important to progress, not to be perfect, but to progress. And number three is when you think that there is a mental health problem for you, and you think that it is affecting your daily functioning, seek help. and please seek help, and do not let this get you down. And you, because you've got this, you can really handle it. Just you have to seek help. And there are, yeah, but as I said, and I also say it again, there are many resources you can reach out, ask, you know, you can search about them, jack.org, youth mental health resources like Unthinkable Youth, help, ask help phone. So,
Oh,
right,
Kids Help Phone. Yeah, yeah.
kids help phone, sorry. And yeah, there are many resources they can, reach out, just reach out. And either you think that it is important to get in touch to help yourself.
Hmm. I love it, man. Erfan, where can people who are listening find you, your inventions, or anything if they want to know more about you?
If they want to know more, they can search, and my Instagram is there, so they can find more about us, our startup, and our work.
I love it, man. I'll put that link down below. Thank you so much for joining me today, man. This has been a blast.
Thank you so much, Harry. It was such a pleasure.
And to all my
Thank you.
listeners, I will see you guys next time.